No, I mean, in Europe, they put people in prison for memes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that's insane.
And they're collapsing. I mean, this society it's a collapsing society. It feels that way.
It feels like,
France was nicer 50 years ago than it is today.
yeah,
I don't think you can question that.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, really,
Like, are you going to talk or are you just going to stumble over your words?
thanks. I love you too.
They do love.
I mean, I really just wanted to do useful things, like, you know, basically build products, you know, provide products and services that are good.
You want to do useful things, Elon? I've got a suggestion for you. What you could do that would be useful to society. I'm going to keep it to myself.
And that I wasn't really like that interested in being political. It just like there was at a certain point no choice.
Yeah.
No, there's a certain point where you realized how you could manipulate the system because of how much money you had. You realized that you could be a complete piece of shit and face zero consequences for it. That's all. Doesn't he have a warrant out for his arrest in Germany for, what's the word, for tampering with their elections or something like that? That could be wrong. Don't quote me.
So, yeah.
Can I ask you on the same side of that coin, what's it like from going neutral to being vilified, largely vilified by the media? Like you're
what? No. Really?
I mean, you turn on some of these channels, brother. I mean, they're
He is very odd. He is a very odd person.
Does it bother you at all? Does it get to you? Yeah.
I mean, when they're chanting for my death, I suppose that's a little,
yeah.
You know?
Well, why do you think people are doing that, Elon? You ever knocked that one around the old noggin? Why do you think people don't like you anymore? Because you belong in prison. Because you have violated the Constitution. You have basically committed a soft coup on the United States government. That's why.
Not good.
And then, like, the song's not even that good, and it's like you call that a death chant? That's nothing. Please.
They've been singing a lot lately.
Good music.
Yeah. There's a lot of music lately. It's not good music either. Yeah.
Yes.
I would say that watching what you're doing with Doge is just people love it. I mean, I've always looked at the government.
No, I don't think people love that at all. I think the CPAC crowd probably likes it more than, the general population. But by and large, people do not like what he's doing with Doge. I hesitate to even use the term Doge because it's not a real department. I'm tempted to just say what he's doing, just plain what he's doing, so I don't validate what he's up to. But, people understand what Doge is doing. That when I say Doge, they know what I mean. So I guess I'll just keep using that. Anyway, it's disgusting.
And, yeah. I've always looked at the government, and I've seen this big machine and you just know that they waste because they don't care. There's more money coming. They don't care.
Yeah.
You're cutting all this out. Everybody in this country knows that the government is full of waste, fraud, and abuse.
No, everybody in this country believes that there's waste, fraud, and abuse. They don't know that. They have no reason to know that. They have no evidence of any of that. And honestly, the government is very efficient. Very efficient. Government employees in the private sector are some of the most sought after employees because they know how to operate on a large scale, and they know how to operate efficiently, and they know how to do their jobs without lying or cheating or whatever else. So all this trash about government employees and waste, fraud, and abuse and all that, it's nonsense. All nonsense. Always been nonsense. It's not true.
And you're doing the work, and the Americans love it.
Oh, yeah, and it's illegal. It's against the Constitution. You're not allowed to do that.
Watching their reaction politically to this, I can't believe how bad they are at responding to this. I don't know how you're going to sit there and scream and cutting waste out of the government and try to win another election. How do you try to win on that?
It's not Elon's place to do this. And he hasn't found any waste yet. He hasn't found any waste, fraud, or abuse. Everything that he's pushed on us so far has been a lie. Like $50 million to Hamas or whatever is a lie. That's not true. Or people that are 150 years old on Social Security, it was a lie. None of that shit was true. None of it. It was all fictitious trash. So I don't know like what they expect me to do when all I hear from him is lies, lie, 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 lie.
Well, at this point, I'm not sure how much of the left is even real.
Yeah.
You know?
How much was propped up by our money, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You think it's AstroTurf? He doesn't believe this. I don't believe for a second that he buys any of this.
Like literally, you see like these sort of fake rallies where there's like hardly any people, and the media will like frame it and like get all 6 people.
That's literally the exact opposite of true. He's describing what happens with the Republican Party right now.
In the frame, but it's like nobody else is there. Like it doesn't have popular support.
That's not true.
But
the Nazis were 15 to 20% of Germany, and it's roughly the same for MAGA. MAGA is 15, 20% of America. MAGA does not have popular support. Republicans will vote Republican no matter what, pretty much, most of the time. But the actual MAGA nutcases who like believe, Elon's supporters, 15 to 20% of the country. My brother is for all intents and purposes, just like a Republican, kind of center-right type of deal. And he even says he doesn't like Elon. He doesn't think Elon's the right person to do any of this stuff. He shouldn't be involved and all of that.
but then you learn that like there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to these so-called NGOs.
Yeah.
And it's your tax dollars that are funding.
Like, this is just a lie. And also, NGOs are a good thing. NGOs are organizations that basically, like, oh my God, there's a loud truck, that basically operate on a worldwide scale to help large numbers of people.
Things that are fundamentally anti-American.
And they're propping up their narrative.
Yes.
A lot of that government money has been propping up a left that I don't think is as strong as they made it seem.
Absolute nonsense. Wow, anti-American. Can you define what anti-American is for me, Elon?
In fact, a massive amount of your tax dollars is going to legacy media companies.
Yes.
Directly from the government.
The government wants to take over media.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. That's why we have X.
Really? Well, I mean, Elon is a government employee right now, and he's literally describing what he is doing. He says that's why we have X. You are acting as the U.S. government. You're a government representative, and he knows this. You can't convince me that he's dumb as dog shit. He is not. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's
why you spent $44 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I mean,
more than it was probably worth.
I love it, dude. Yeah, he didn't spend that money. He got loans for it. To my knowledge, I don't think he spent anything on X or on Twitter. He borrowed all of it from like Saudi princes and stuff.
But there was a message.
Freedom is priceless.
Priceless. Yeah.
Oh, God. It is so stupid.
Probably one of the most important investments this country's ever seen. If you got to protect the First Amendment, it's not much more important than that.
Well, you got to protect the First Amendment. Fascinating. So you're telling me that Elon is not banning anybody. He's not censoring anybody or retaliating against anybody for criticizing him or any of that because free speech and all that stuff, right, is what you're saying? Just to take one super basic example, what happened to the Elon's jet guy who was basically posting the publicly available information about like where Elon's jet was flying from like which city to which city? What happened to him on Twitter? Was he removed from Twitter? I forget. Bill Burr actually had something to say about this, fascinatingly. Hold on. Is this it? This might be the thing I was looking for.
I'll tell you what's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for whatever. What a fucking baby. Just like Hitler.
The guy doesn't even use his Twitter account. He heard what Bill Burr was saying about him and he flagged his Twitter account. Can't use it anymore, presumably. Free speech, you say? Free speech?
Fucking baby. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused and the war crimes the Allies had to commit firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people, did he face the music? No, he gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death. That's your fucking hero? Fucking coward is what he was. He should have faced the fucking music and he didn't. Anyway, this is the world we live in, where you got to remind people that that guy was a bad guy that destroyed millions of people's lives, families, and his own country. His own countrymen paid the price for what he did.
Yeah, Germans were like, they were in bad shape by the end of all of this. Like, it was real ugly what happened to Germans after World War II.
He this is another thing, too. Oh, that guy went straight to hell. It's like, how does he go straight to hell? What does God say about that? He made that guy. Right? I just don't understand that. Like, how he gets absolved of that. God created everything, yes, including Adolf Hitler. He really did create us in his image. Like us, he is also not perfect. He goes down fucking looking every once in a while.
That's interesting. That's an interesting analysis.
All right, Beatles B-sides. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Hey,
I love Bill Burr to death. He is so awesome.
hey, now what are you going to do? Reflag my account?
Dude, I love him. I love him to death. He's just the best. Bill Burr is just the best. Hold on. There's another thing that Bill Burr famously said recently. What was it? It was, hold on. Well, let me find it. Is this it?
And the amount of guys that get taken to the cleaners in fucking divorce court, it taps into all of that. So it isn't 100% us being meatheads, but it is a lot. Anyway, and to answer a follow-up on why I don't follow any professional women's sports now, I'm broke. And being a busy mother with 2 children and working full-time in this economy, I was very excited and made a point to play a lot of Olympic coverage for my kids. I even bought a globe to help visualize where people are from, where they're from. Dude, this is...
No, I'm not sure this is what I was looking for.
The amount of people that are struggling out there because of these fucking billionaires, and they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much fucking money in this country, and there's so much work being done, And if you work a full fucking week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get another fucking job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country.
There was a time when that was the case. It didn't matter really what job you had. You would be able to survive if you had a job. I mean, you may not be living in the absolute best circumstances. It may not be the most comfortable you've ever been or whatever, but you could do it. You would survive. You'd be fine. Now, where do we find ourselves? People can't survive nowadays. They cannot survive. You can't survive on just a single job.
Because then the kids don't see their parents and they're not getting the upbringing that they need. It's so fucking... These fucking billionaires, they need to be put down, like fucking rabid dogs.
That's a pretty hot take, but okay, go on.
They're like rabid with fucking greed and just going out and just dividing everybody. Just the fucking epitome of this time right now. Like how divisive we are that the Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America and people get excited. Like, how the fuck does that help your wallet? It's an empty gesture. And then it's also like a racist gesture. Like that's the white guy that's him saying fuck Mexicans without saying it. Like who has a fucking problem with Mexicans? Like what is the real problem? This is just such an ugly fucking time. Yeah, that just sucks. That sucks. People fucking broke. Anyway, I really became fascinated with the pentathlon in particular. Again, just my perspective on why maybe there aren't great turnouts for more women supporting women in sports today. I love hearing your parenting adventures, and I hope Nia and the kids are well. Kindest regards. Yeah, those are all fucking great points. And you know, a lot of men making fun of how bad the WNBA looks or whatever never made a basketball team in their life. So there's also that. It's a nice fucking outlet. The same way if somebody fucks up in sports, you know, it used to be called the GOAT of the game. Used to mean you fucked up. Now that somehow that means greatest of all time.
I don't fully understand, but okay. I'm with you, Bill. All the way.
But if you choked, you know, like a guy like Skip Bayless seems to love going off on people that like choked during the game. And you look at Skip Bayless. I mean, you're in gym class. Are you picking Skip Bayless? I just think that there's, you know, I get being upset that someone on your team fucked it up, but taking it to the point of trying to fucking, tweeting at the person and people getting death threats and shit like that, that has nothing to do with the game.
Anyway, yeah, Bill Burr is just awesome. He is so on point with all this stuff. I love him to death.
$44 billion. I mean, there's a lot.
The whole point behind that little aside is that Elon Musk never cared about free speech. He never gave a shit about free speech, not even a little bit. Not at all.
A lot of money.
I mean,
more than it was probably worth. But there was a message.
Freedom is priceless.
Priceless. Yeah. Yeah.
He was never in favor of freedom. He's not in favor of freedom.
Yeah. Probably one of the most important investments this country's ever seen. If you got to protect the First Amendment.
It might be one of the most influential investments the country has ever seen. But yes, deeply damaging.
It's not much more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of criticism, and people said, well, that proves he's a huge idiot from a, he voted for whatever,
Well, he is an idiot, but
$4 billion, and now it's worth like 8 cents. And
it's not worth 8 cents.
But you know, there's the it was essentially to buy freedom of expression.
No, it wasn't to defend freedom of expression. It wasn't. It wasn't even a little bit. Not at all. In fact, if I remember correctly, Elon Musk didn't even want to buy Twitter at the end of it, right? He suggested, hey, maybe I'll buy it. And then he was forced into the sale by the Twitter people, which was legally required because legally a board and a president must do what is in the best interest of the company, or I'm sorry, of best interest of the board members. So buying them out was would benefit the stakeholders and the board members and everything the most, right? So he was like, basically they had to sue him to force him to do that whole thing, unfortunately. So he had no choice at the end, and he decided to use it as an opportunity to really fuck with people. That may have been one of the worst moments in American democracy when he bought Twitter, because it so effectively destroyed lives, because it so effectively spread neo-Nazi ideology like that. Just disturbing.
Once that's gone, it's all over. It's all over.
Yeah.
Into tyranny is really quick.
Oh, I just realized that it stopped recording. Damn, I don't know why that happened. Hang on.
After that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so all the sort of federal money going to media companies is what helps explain why the legacy media all says the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like, it's like weird, like you can put them up where it's like, like when
they're mouthpieces for
the state.
For the state.
Yes.
And that's what we've come to know.
They're not, though. Corporate media. I mean, are you talking about like MSNBC, CNN, Fox News? No, none of them are mouthpieces for the state. Fox News is a mouthpiece for the Republican Party, without a doubt. None of them are just like mouthpieces for the state, full stop. That's just not how it has ever worked. I mean, there is Russian state media, RT, Russia Today, for example. There's North Korean state media. There's state media that exists, but not here exactly. It's party media, which may even be worse, honestly.
Yeah,
it's scary.
And I like that meme where they're because they're always saying like threat to our democracy is that threat to, but if you just replace democracy with bureaucracy, it makes a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. What does that have to do with anything? What?
It's perfect sense. Yeah.
What makes perfect sense?
Big
So-
threats to the bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right?
Right. So he closed down, for example, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The CFPB protects people from scams. Like if a bank says, I will give you identity fraud protection if you give me $10 a month, except they don't actually provide anything. They don't give you identity theft protection. The CFPB investigates that and forces the banks to pay you back what you paid into them and got nothing for. They are the anti-scam police, is what they are. They bring in more money than they put out. So they spend, say, $10 million tracking down these corporations' scams, and then they find the shit out of these corporations. They charge them $100 million for scamming people, and then force them to pay all of the people back for all of the scamming that they did. And now this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has $90 million more than they started with, and the consumers have all of the money that they invested into it, and the banks know not to scam people anymore. That's how the CFPB operated. Now, Elon Musk has decided to shut down the CFPB, whose operating budget was, I don't know how much, $800 million or something they had in the bank that they were using to go after scam artists to get people money. And now he says he's going to split that 800 million between the entire country of 300 million. So awesome. Get ready to get your $4 check from the CFPB. You won't be getting your check back for being scammed by corporations, but you'll definitely get that one-time amount of $4. Congratulations on that one. Hope you enjoy it. Spend it in good health. Elon Musk knows this. He knows that what he's doing is making society worse. And he knows he's not sending $5,000 checks out. Where would the $5,000 come from? I thought you were trying to lower the debt in the country. Are you giving us the money instead of putting it toward the debt? Is that what it is? The dude is lying. He's always been a liar.
And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country and from organizations that hate you to
organizations that hate you. So you're telling me the CFPB, the organization that prevents scams, hates you? Hates me? Where did you get that?
you. That's awesome.
Does it seem, I mean, have you talked?
I mean, that's like glorious. That's like
It's the best.
the spoils of battle, you know?
I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I talked to the president, and he's supportive of that. And so it sounds like, that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
What is something we're going to do? You're going to send people $5,000 checks? And again, where are you getting that from? Where is the money coming from?
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So.
I thought that was transferring to reductions in debt. Are you reducing the debt, or are you giving people money? And by the way, they showed the new budget. We know what the new budget is. Probably knew this after this was filmed, but taxes are going up for people that make under something like $200,000 a year. By an average of like $1,600 a year, they're going up. Basically like $120 a month more you're paying for taxes now. But taxes are going down for people that make like 10 million a year by an average of like 60,000 a year. So yeah, it's translating, I guess, into tax reduction for filthy rich people and a tax increase for you. Everything out of his mouth is a lie.
Yeah. I think they fired 6,000 people at the IRS today.
Yeah.
And I think Lutnick said last night that they're talking about shutting down the IRS.
Do you know who the IRS goes after? Or do you know where a lot of the money comes from that the IRS gets? People like Elon Musk. They audit filthy rich people. I mean, not as often as they should, but they do, I suppose. They audit filthy rich people and basically pay for themselves through that process. Why does Elon Musk, of all people, want to shut down the IRS, I wonder? Any ideas? Does anyone have any clue why that might be?
And I think it's fair. I think people should realize this is, I mean, the amount of money that we send Washington like 5 or 6 trillion a year. That is such an ungodly amount of money. I mean, what do they, they say? They say like 1 trillion seconds is like 30 years or something like that. I mean, that's how much we send them, and they seem to never have enough. There must be a lot you can cut.
No, absolutely. People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to D.C., when you're in D.C.? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence.
Oh, he's about caring now. I see. First I'm hearing of it, but alrighty.
Where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Yeah, you can do it like once. So it's not like, and again, what he's talking about is illegal. He's not legally allowed to do what he's doing. He's completely discarding and ignoring the Constitution.
And then they scoff at it and say, oh, a few billion here, there. I mean, the way they're talking about it, you can see they don't care.
No, I care if it actually did any good for us. It's what he's talking about is like destroying Social Security. Yeah, you can save $1 billion in an hour by cutting off everybody that gets Social Security that's under 80 years old. I don't want that. I pay taxes for that reason, for those people, to help them. Instead, he's saving $1 billion by cutting Social Security and giving it to himself by granting himself government contracts. Why would I want that? I don't understand. Where's your head? He knows better than this. He knows nobody wants this. He knows not one single human being in America would want this if they knew what was really happening, what he's really doing, which is blatantly obvious.
Such little money compared to how much they're used to wasting. That's what's really scary.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying.
Empathy. I lack empathy. I am an average taxpayer, Jagoff. And I pay my taxes so that old people won't live in poverty. That's why I pay them. I want to make sure that the homeless have a place to go, that the impoverished have health care and food stamps, that the olds have, a Social Security to live off of, and that generally people won't die in an alley because they don't have any food or money or housing or anything else. That's why I pay taxes. That's what the government should be doing. You know why? Because those things aren't profitable. A charity shouldn't have to step in and fix those problems. The government should be doing things to help people that aren't profitable, that otherwise would not be solved. The problems wouldn't be solved by a normal company. And he's coming in, and instead of making sure that those programs are expanded, he is cutting as much as he possibly can from the social safety net, and he's giving it to himself and other billionaires. It is unforgivable, and I hope he spends the rest of his life in federal fuck you in the prison. I don't normally say that, but that's what I'm shooting for, because he is a depraved, vile human being. People used to say, I don't know if he's human because he's like a space alien. He's so smart. Blah, 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 blah. Now we know he's not particularly smart. Now we know that was a carefully crafted public image. But I'm starting to wonder if he's human anyway, with how absolutely depraved and evil he is, in all seriousness. Like the things that he says and does are so depraved and disgusting and horrific and evil and wrong. I don't even know how to handle this. This is so fucking gross.
Paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people,
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
I'd like to have it. Let me ask you a question. I know the president fairly well, watched him survive 2 assassination attempts. Had the first one not happened, the second one would have gotten him. It was very, because without those extra guys, they would have never seen that gun poking through the fence at the golf course. I
Yeah.
saw the crew that you. The
Isn't
crew
it
that
like
you had.
mind blowing that this has happened? I mean, it just and what? By the way, why do we still know nothing about that?
And he's going to weaponize this. They were both Republicans, by the way. Both of the two people that tried to assassinate Trump, they were both Republicans, and I think are both dead now, right?
Isn't it like mind blowing that this has happened? I mean, it just and what? By the way, why do we still know nothing about that guy in Butler? What's going on?
What are you talking about? We know a ton about the guy in Butler. He's the one that was killed. He was the Republican that was killed on the spot. What do you mean we don't know anything about him? We know a ton about him. We talked to, or like the news, talked to his classmates and all kinds of shit. What are you going on about right now?
But Cash is going to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, yeah.
Confirmed just a couple hours ago, but
Kash Patel, head of the FBI now. Kash Patel is like a really evil person, like really, really bad. And I believe that, like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this or if there's the political will to do this or if anybody's going to allow it to happen. But Kash Patel's definitely ready to create a new full-blown Gestapo, like identical to what the German Gestapo was. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen, but he's totally, absolutely 100% ready for it to happen, and he will do it if given the opportunity.
I saw that the security detail that you had come in is enormous.
Well, it's not that enormous. Maybe it should be bigger. I don't know.
I think you can probably afford it. But I mean, how concerned are you about your safety dealing? I mean, you are a wanted man. Are you nervous?
So, look, I'm open to ideas for improving security. I have to tell you, like I don't actually have a.
He should be. He should be open to that. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't believe in the death penalty, and I don't believe in political violence. But yeah, he should definitely be worried about his security, right? Absolutely. I certainly would be if I did some of the shit that he did.
Death wish, I think.
Sorry, step back.
Like I don't actually have a death wish, I think. But you know, it's not that easy. Yeah, I mean, but I have like I've had even like people like President Bukele from El Salvador who managed to put in prison like I don't know 100,000 like murderous thugs, and he was like he called me, he's like, I'm worried about your security. I'm like, you're worried about my security? I'm like, what? Okay. That's you know.
I mean, yeah, talk about guts to do that down there. I mean,
yeah, totally.
And survive.
I'm not actually sure who Bukele is, but he's a dictator, of course, or Elon wouldn't be speaking highly of him. Let me look at it. I probably know who it is. I just need to read about him for a second. Nayib Bukele. Salvador. Oh, right. Okay, yes, I do remember this guy. He is an absolutely evil sack of shit. President of El Salvador. Disgusting human being. As far as I can tell, a dictator who's ready to imprison anybody and everybody that opposes him. And he basically said that he's willing to take in U.S. prison population, basically, into the El Salvadoran prison system, which would be a violation of the Constitution because it would be cruel and unusual punishment. They, like, cut people's fingers off and stuff in those prisons just because it's really, really ugly and evil and wrong. Imagine the most horrific. It's a gulag. Imagine the most horrific prison system you could possibly imagine. That's El Salvador. It's really, really ugly. And it doesn't surprise me that Elon Musk is like proudly talking about knowing Bukele and chatting with him casually and stuff. Holy Christ, that is disturbing, man.
I was like, how did you put all those thugs in prison without dying? Because it seems like that would have been not easy, you know.
Well, there's the president has one of his top attorneys is now investigating, I guess, Chuck Schumer for threats against SCOTUS, a congressman on the Democrat side for saying, you know, basically
investigating political opponents. This is dictatorship shit right here.
Basically saying we're going to bring a war to you, like a fight to you. I mean, the rhetoric. You guys are screwing with things that are not supposed to be messed with. And
we're fighting the Matrix.
There's a lot of people that really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we're fighting the Matrix big time here. But it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Fighting the Matrix big time, which means violating the Constitution, breaking every law in the books, and physically kicking people out of buildings that you have no right to be in personally. like really disturbing shit. Countless people violating their oaths to the Constitution to protect Elon Musk.
And
Are you? It certainly does. What's going on with? Tell us about Fort Knox.
Yeah.
There's Kentucky. It's a military base. It's a ton of gold, tons and tons and tons of gold.
5,000 tons of gold, or
5,000
give or
tons
take,
of gold
you know?
are there in the ground and like this. I mean, it's a very secure
I think
thing.
we all want to see it. You know?
I'd love to see it.
Like, this is your gold, by the way. It's the public's gold.
You think it's not there?
I don't know.
Of course, the gold is there. He's looking for another opportunity to lie. Looking for another opportunity to just make shit up, to pretend that, you know, the U.S. population has been lied to.
I think
We just want to see it.
Yeah, we want to go see it and just make sure, like, somebody did a spray paint some lead or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is this real gold? Fight at the bar, you know?
Didn't dent.
But I think, honestly, you know, part of this also is just like, let's have some fun and you know, like I said, all this gold at Fort Knox, it's the public's gold. It's your gold.
No, it isn't. It's the U.S. government's gold. They're very different things. The U.S. government is, all right, the money that Elon Musk pays in taxes, however much it happens to be, I have no clue, isn't my money. He's not paying that money to me. He's paying it to the U.S. government, and the U.S. government works for the people. I can't just go withdraw that money from an account or something. It doesn't work that way. That gold that's in Fort Knox, it was supposed to be there to be like a backup for when people wanted to like trade in their dollar bills. Like trading gold is a complete pain in the ass, and you know, printing gold coins and things. So they would give paper money, or they'd give little pieces of copper, and those things could be traded in for the physical gold at like the Federal Reserve or whatever long ago. But we left the gold standard a long time ago. The US dollar left the gold standard, so it's not backed by gold anymore in the same way. But that gold can be used to pay off debts if need be. Wonder how much is actually in Fort Knox. How much does the US have? Largest stockpile in the world, worth over $600 billion. Wow, interesting. Anyway, actually, I thought it was more than that. I'm surprised it's only 600 billion. Do you know that Elon Musk could purchase nearly all of the gold, almost all the gold in Fort Knox? That's how filthy rich he is. Tax billionaires. Every dollar you make after $1 billion is taxed at 99%. You get 1 penny for every dollar you make past $1 billion. That's how I think it should be right now. We can talk about changing it a little bit later, like down the line. But this is just wrong. This is wrong.
So, like, I think you have like a right to see it.
Take a tour?
You know? Yeah, I think we should have it do it.
I mean, haven't there been tours? Like, there are video tours, haven't there? You can look at the inside of Fort Knox, right?
Do a tour, and then the president last night was like that.
Like, it's not your gold. It's the U.S. government's gold. You don't have the right to see it or taste it or touch it or whatever.
It's your gold. So, like, I think you have like a right to see it.
Take a tour?
You know? Yeah, I think we should have it do a tour, and then the president last night was like, "That's how." I think he's in favor of it. That would be cool. And then it should be like a live tour. Like you can see what's going on. Open the door.
That's not secure. That's dangerous. There should not be a live tour of this. What are you talking about?
Or like, what's behind it?
Well, and there's,
you know, I think I'd watch that.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, what does 5,000 tons of gold look
totally.
like?
What does
How
it
big
look
is
like?
that? Is it the size of this?
It's got to be pretty
state? I
big,
mean,
you know.
It's got to be a lot of
Maybe
gold.
there's some other stuff in there. Like just walk around. And like I don't know. Maybe they got some other stuff in there.
Are you thinking about auditing the Federal Reserve as well, which is obviously is that
yeah, sure.
Regulates our economy?
He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't care. Federal Reserve is not a government organization. Federal Reserve is a private company. He has no right to audit that. He has no place. He has no place to do any of the things that he's doing right now. This is all illegal. All of it. Everything.
Are you thinking about auditing the
like what would happen if he went and audited the Federal Reserve? It would effectively be like him going into Google and auditing Google. Just like walking in, sitting down at, or Alphabet, the company that owns Google. I think Larry Page is the head of Alphabet right now. Like him going in, sitting down at Larry Page's desk and just like looking through his books just because he wants to. That's it. That's effectively what he says he wants to do right now.
Federal Reserve as well, which is obviously is that
Yeah, sure.
Regulates our
Well,
economy. I imagine you think the waste has got to be everywhere.
Yeah, no, waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask,
No. I mean, yes, in the sense that like sometimes people use more paper clips than they need, but waste, fraud, and abuse is not rampant in the government. It's just not. It's not. It never was. Well, not not in the past like 30 years at the very least. The government is very efficient.
like, how can you find waste in DC? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like you're gonna close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. you can't miss,
It's just complete bullshit, and it's like really disgusting shit what he's saying right now. Really bottom of the barrel disgusting shit.
So it's pretty wild. Like you just push on things a little bit and you save billions of dollars. Like just a little bit, It's wild.
Yeah, you can just remove people just a little bit, remove people who take Social Security under 75 years old. It's just a little bit, and it's wild. Suddenly you save $1 billion.
It's scary, isn't it? It's really
That's why I say it really is underrated. If you add caring and competence, how much things improve.
Yeah.
Add caring and competence. Suddenly you're all about caring and competence. Okay.
And we just find so many totally crazy things, which we're sharing with the public. We post everything we learn.
No. And by the way, that's not how transparency works. You need to give us hard physical evidence rather than just telling us something. He said he found people collecting Social Security that are over 150 years old. No, you didn't. It cuts off after 115 years old. You need to show us physical evidence of this stuff so that we can understand the situation directly. But he's not providing us any of that. He's just going in, meddling with shit, and then walking away, claiming he did something useful.
So you can see it,
What do you?
it's like, isn't it like it's totally wild? Like we just did like a check the database on Social Security. Like says how many alive Americans eligible for Social Security are there? And according to the database, it's over 400 million. And we're like, wait a sec.
No, that's not true. That's a lie. What he just said here. It's a lie. It's a fictitious lie.
And how many are getting?
How old are they again?
Yeah.
And then like we found like one person in there is like 360 years old. I'm like, what, they know Ben
100 years
or
before the
something? I
revolution.
mean,
Yeah.
America didn't exist before at that time. Like so.
Yeah, we were colonies.
Maybe it's just me, but I think it's a red flag. I don't.
This is all just lies. He's just making this shit up completely. I dug into this whole subject and learned about how all of this works. And what he's saying right now is just a fictitious lie. He might have found some people in a database of those who pay into Social Security that are 150 years old, but no older than that, because that's when the COBOL epoch begins, 1875. So you might find people that are like 155 years old or whatever it is, or 150, I don't know, whatever that adds up to, because that's where the COBOL epoch begins. You will not find them older than that in that database. If they have no birthday listed, then it's that. And it's just people that paid in. It's not people that are collecting. It's not people that are eligible to collect. It's just like when they throw in a junk Social Security number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it pays out, or I'm sorry, they pay in money to that Social Security number, and there's no birthday associated with it because it's not a real Social Security number. They're not getting money out of it.
No.
But are there indications that there were checks going to those people?
No, there is no indication of that. There might have been an indication that those Social Security numbers were listed in the system because people paid in, but they did not receive money.
Any of those people?
Well,
no.
Yes,
That's, I guess, the question, right? I get the Social Security Administration is dumb, but are they paying these people? Are they?
No, they're not.
Are that dumb? I don't know.
A bunch of money is going out from the Social Security Administration, and in fact, from all entitlements programs.
$72 billion in waste in like 7 years. That's $10 billion a year.
Well,
why isn't he letting him answer this question? I hear you asking, because he knows the answer is No. And he doesn't want to give him a hardball question. Dude on the left, whoever the hell he is, knows that Elon Musk is lying.
I think the
Fraudulent payments.
the rough or estimate from Government Accountability Office is over $500 billion of fraud a year.
Did you catch that? Government Accountability Office? You know what that is, right? It's an office that actually exists to make sure that waste, fraud, and abuse are dealt with. It's an office that actually acts the way that Doge purports to work, except they're working within the bounds of the law, and they've been operating for a long time. Inspectors General are dedicated to finding, waste, fraud, and abuse and things like that. And Doge is just coming in and destroying shit, stepping all over everything, stealing shit, giving himself contracts, government contracts.
500 billion.
And how long at a time?
Per year.
Per year on Social Security?
I'm sorry, hang on, one more time.
$100 billion of fraud a year.
Wait.
Government Accountability Office is over $500 billion of fraud a year. 500 billion.
And how long at a time?
Per year.
Per year?
$500 billion per year going out in Social Security payments that are not supposed to be paid out is what you're telling me right now. The Government Accountability Office said there's 0.84% overpayment. Not fraud, not abuse, not waste, but overpayment because of, some issue. Like maybe they recorded more, maybe somebody paid in less than they actually paid in, or it's been reported that they paid in less than they actually did. So they're getting slightly more than they deserve. But it's 0.84% over the entire amount paid out total. Like, I'm okay with that, actually. Social Security is a trust fund that exists that shouldn't be connected to the rest of the government at all. And in fact, payments should be increased by not 0.84%, but by 30% for everybody across the board. 50%. I don't want anybody living in poverty. Anybody, under any circumstances.
Social Security?
No. On all
on all government.
On all entitlements.
All entitlements.
All
Okay,
entitlements. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of actually makes sense when you look at the thing from a top level and say, like, okay, the $7 trillion of spending by the government. What percentage do you think is fraudulent? Okay, exactly. Like a conservative estimate of the $7 trillion would be 10%.
Bullshit. Where'd you get that number? A conservative estimate. And who provided that information? Literally nobody. He's just making this shit up right off the top of his head. And the government should not operate on it shouldn't operate like a business. It should operate like a government operates.
Conservative.
Probably a little higher than that, yeah.
Exactly.
Feels like a quarter out of every dollar, right?
But if the fraud's only 10% of $7 trillion, you've got $700 billion of fraud.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's like really easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's very easy.
Very easy. Look at
It really is not that easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's just not.
COVID.
Yes.
Everybody got rich during COVID. I mean, look at all.
What are you talking? Everybody got rich during COVID? What? Excuse me? Who is everybody? You got a mouse in your pocket that you're referring to? I just didn't get rich during COVID. Did anybody in the audience get rich during COVID? You know who actually got rich during COVID? There was a massive wealth transfer from the working middle class, lower class, to the filthy rich. So when he says everybody, he means everybody that makes over $100 billion, basically, or that owns over 50 billion or something. Like Jeff Bezos had a massive wealth transfer from the poor to him. Same with Elon Musk. They got filthy rich. I certainly didn't.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It looks like in terms of the COVID payments, there was something like $200 billion of COVID payment fraud taken by fraudsters out of the country.
Out of the country, yeah.
Bullshit. You know what most of the quote unquote COVID payment fraud was? Most of that was people getting PPP loans, like businesses getting these loans to continue making payroll, to keep people on staff, even though their doors weren't open or they weren't generating any money. And then getting loan forgiveness, even when they didn't deserve it, even when they weren't entitled to it or whatever. That was the majority of the fraud. I mean, how much did people get in stimulus checks? So $500 per person, I think, maybe, right? Or somewhere in there. I don't even remember what it was now. That was almost nothing In fact, it was nothing compared to what the government paid out in PPP loans that were then forgiven. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene got PPP loans. Lauren Boebert got PPP loans that were subsequently forgiven, a lot of them. I'm not sure if those specific ones were forgiven, but that is COVID fraud. Is Elon Musk talking about that at all? I wonder.
That's like I think, listen, if there's going to be fraud, it should at least be domestic.
Yeah.
So, you know. But they managed to get $200 billion out of the country. I'm like, what?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
What? Didn't we notice that?
Let me ask you, let's do immigration here for a second. You know, there's this move now that Trump's latest thing is that he's going to cut funding, any kind of money that ends up in the hands of illegal immigrants. So if you're funding these sanctuary cities and states, that's how they thrive, right? They're paying for these hotels. That's all federal money. If you got a hotel in your city, in New York, you got all these hotels full of migrants.
Yeah, they're complaining about immigrants basically staying in New York City and FEMA dealing with this disaster, this homelessness disaster that's happening right now, paying for hotels. But they say that they were spending like $60 million or something on hotels for immigrants, as though it was like one immigrant that they were spending $60 million on. I don't even think any of that's accurate or true. I pretty much doubt everything out of their mouths because they're not providing any evidence for any of it. And until they do, I'm just not buying it. But either way, people need housing. That's why the government is here, to prevent homelessness. That's why I pay taxes, to prevent homelessness.
It's not state money. That's the feds are covering that. He's going to cut all that. It's really hard to deport 15 million people. And it seems like the move now is, let's see if we, especially at the rate that we're going, it seems like the move now is, let's make it so that they leave on their own. If there's no longer a dole system for them, if they can't get their hands on hotel rooms and money, they're going to go back, especially if there's no work.
Well,
this is just bottom of the barrel disgusting shit.
I think it's really important for people to understand that the Biden administration sent any possible money that they could if there was money they could send to facilitate and amplify illegal immigration, they sent it. Okay, they took money from FEMA meant for helping Americans in distress and sent that money to luxury hotels for illegal immigrants in New York.
That it's completely made up. They were not sending it to luxury hotels to like let undocumented immigrants live high on the hog or some other shit. This is all fictitious trash. And Elon Musk had the federal government withdraw money from the accounts illegally, from like the New York City accounts.
New York. That is an outrage.
Yeah.
They actually did that. And not only that, even after the president signed an executive order saying it has to stop, the FEMA...
Well, it's none of his fucking business what New York City or New York State do with their money, with the money that they have. But it's irrelevant because everything he's saying right now is completely made up.
The sort of, whatever, deep state bureaucrats still pressed send on $80 million last week to go to the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and other places.
This is not true. He's just making this up. Depending on when this was recorded, I believe February 21st. No, this is made up.
Places last week. And now they're mad that it got stopped, and they're like trying to sue to have it be restored.
Yeah, because they withdrew money from the accounts that was given to them lawfully by Congress. It was allotted by Congress because Congress has the power of the purse. What they did, the federal government, is against the law, but he just completely ignores that. Nobody cares.
It's like the gumption is.
You think they're creating a new voter class? Would you think that was the goal when they open up?
Yeah,
please. This is the Great Reset conspiracy. This conspiracy existed in Germany too under Hitler, and it's I'm sorry, not Great Reset, the Great Replacement conspiracy. And the Great Replacement conspiracy is that all of these people are coming in and they're trying to replace all of the white people, all of the good people. It's absolute trash. This is not how anything works. But when did logic ever stop this kind of complete nonsense? When has Elon Musk ever let logic get in the way of a good lie? This guy is about as evil as they come. I thought that, I thought that there were limits to what people would be willing to do, like the lies that people would be willing to tell. Because some of it is just like too disgusting, too low, too evil. But it doesn't seem like there's a limit here. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.